Good morning, guys, and welcome back for our May 11th video lecture. This week, we're going to be talking all about the Ronald Reagan presidency. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. So our first slide, talking about the Reagan Revolution and America in general in the 1980s. Republicans gravitate towards religion. 2 years after the assassination attempt, Ronald Reagan addressed a gathering of conservative Christians to talk about his platform. In his speech, Reagan referenced many of the points that had helped him win conservative support, including religion's important role in the founding of the nation. Freedom prospers when religion is vibrant and the rule of law under God is acknowledged. Next slide. Evangelicals gain a voice. Reagan's audience comprised of evangelical Christians, or better known as just simply evangelicals. Evangelicals are Christians who emphasize the authority of the Bible, believe strongly in spreading their faith, and seek a direct and personal experience with God. Many describe their conversion to evangelical faith as being born again. By the late 1970s, evangelicals had become a significant force in both religion and politics. That is still the case today. The evangelical vote is a voting group that conservatives go after very, very strongly during election season. You'll see that again this November. Christians and social values in the 1980s. Many evangelicals, particularly conservative fundamentalists, were upset by the perceived decline of moral and religious values in American society. They viewed Americans as straying from God, and thus our society was becoming this godless culture, right? They wanted a candidate that would address those needs, things that they felt needed to be fixed during the 1980s. So, a shift in politics. Next slide. Given this newfound voice and this newfound influence, it really shouldn't be surprising that the election of 1980 was a landslide. Very similar to what we saw with Nixon in his second re-election, where he nearly won a unanimous election. Reagan was nearly as dominant in 1980. He would end up winning that election over Jimmy Carter by nearly 8 million votes. It really was a dominant sweep to the White House. So next slide, the Great Communicator, which is what Ronald Reagan was oftentimes referred to as. For many voters, Reagan offered an appealing alternative to President Jimmy Carter at the time. Before he launched his political career, Reagan was a film actor and host of a popular TV show. If that sounds familiar, it should, right? Our current president had a similar path, right? Obviously not a governorship, but was involved in TV. He served 2 terms as governor of California before running for president. On the campaign trail, he demonstrated a talent for public speaking and a skill that would earn him the nickname the Great Communicator. Okay, next slide. I want you to take a look at the political poster that you see there and take a look at the slogan, right? Reagan for president. Let's make America great again. You can see the connection between the 1980s and today. All right, so during a televised debate with President Carter in October 1980, Reagan delivered the most famous line of his campaign, asking viewers a very, very simple question. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Well, for millions of Americans, the answer to that question was no. I am not better off than I was 4 years ago. That is an indictment on the Carter administration, and Americans in droves vote for Reagan. Okay, this creates a red wave, right? We talked about a blue wave in the 1930s with FDR. Well, this is a red wave, and in many ways, we still feel the effects of the red wave today. On election day, Reagan would defeat Carter by more than 8 million votes. Republicans secured control of the Senate for the first time since 1955, a lawmaking body that they still control today. And while Democrats managed to retain their House of Representatives majority, Republicans were able to make significant gains there as well. Right? So it truly was a red wave in 1980. So Reagan gains the confidence of a country. Next slide. In his inaugural speech, Reagan introduced many of his ideas that he would work toward as president. Recognizing that many Americans had become disillusioned with government in the aftermath of the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal, he called for his audience to have faith in themselves and in their ability to solve the country's problems. After all, why shouldn't we believe that? We are Americans. That's what he said mere minutes after Reagan was sworn in. Right. Shortly thereafter, the hostages from Iran were released. There's a great video that you guys have this week, so make sure you check that out about the Iranian hostage crisis. Okay, the Great Delegator. One thing that was very clear from the beginning about Reagan was that he was going to be a different kind of executive. Reagan's advisors soon learned that the president rarely involved himself with policy details or the daily tasks of governing. Rather, he was more of the overseer, the executive, making sure that the big picture ticket items were being fulfilled. Okay, so that's going to wrap up our video lecture for today. As always, guys, I hope you're well. I miss you all very much, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.